So we're going to take a look at England's potential performance in this World Cup. Are they going to go all the way and win it? Are we going to go out early? Are we going to embarrass ourselves? As a cynical Englishman who's seen it all down the years, I can't say I'm too confident about this particular tournament, but let's take a look at it anyway. And we're going to kick this off with a very interesting statistic. And I've got to credit Andy for this statistic because it was something I suspected. However, I couldn't quite put my finger on it. And this is it. This statistic is pretty shocking. England have never beaten a top 10 nation away from Wembley in a knockout match. This was something I've always suspected. And if you're an Englishman yourself, maybe you had a feeling about this also, where we enter these tournaments, we're full of hope. But as soon as we come up against a decent team, we end up getting knocked out. And anyway, it's absolutely true. And this is since knockout tournaments began. Now, unless we're playing in Wembley, we're pretty much going to get eliminated as soon as we play anyone who's in the top 10 of the FIFA rankings. Now, if you look at England's recent knockout defeats, you can see the pattern. Croatia, Iceland weren't even in the top 10, but we still managed to lose that. But apart from that, losing to Italy in 2012, Germany in 2010, Portugal in 2006, and again in 2004, Brazil in 92, Argentina in 98, and it goes on. And it gets worse than that. So I'm not going to dwell on that too much. It's actually quicker for us to look at the knockout matches that England have actually won. So these are all the knockout matches that England have actually won. All of them. So these are the ones they've won at home. And you might remember some of these. Obviously, 1966, I can't remember. I wasn't born. But 96, 2021, and Germany and Denmark beating both of those in the Euros last year. So those are knockout matches that England have won. Now, these are the ones that we've won which weren't at Wembley. So we beat Paraguay in 86, Belgium and Cameroon on the way to the semis in 1990, and again came up against Germany in the semi-finals and lost. Denmark in 2002. Do you remember that? Do you remember us beating them? And then the next one was Sweden and Colombia in 2018. And then Ukraine in 2021 when we went to Rome and then we beat them on the road. So no big teams that we've won away from home. Outside of Wembley, we've had to face a pretty big country, a heavyweight of world football, and we've never done it before. So really, the way to look at this is that if England are going to win the World Cup, they're going to have to overcome this statistic. And it's not impossible. It's not impossible. It's a similar statistic that Spain had before 2010, but you're up against it. You're up against it when this is your track record. However, with this statistic in mind, let's take a closer look at England's route to the final, and let's see how far England could possibly get before facing a top 10 nation. And then we've maybe got an idea of how far England can actually get in the World Cup. Let's take a look. So one thing that's included inside the World Cup System Builder bundle is this World Cup wall chart feature. So if you remember, as a kid, and maybe even as an adult, you'd get that wall chart out of the middle of the newspaper, stick it on the wall, fill in the scores, fill in the groups, and so on as the tournament developed. Well, we can do this inside the System Builder, but this is not for fun. This is actually a pretty useful tool for us to potentially prepare our bets, prepare our trades, and so on, especially if you're involved in the winners markets, because you can get an idea of all the permutations. So, for example, I can start to fill this out based on some results, and you can see it will populate in here, and then you can start to see what each team needs to do in particular matches, and you can see what a certain result could do to the group stage, and etc. etc. So anyway, with this wall chart, we can also plan out the route to the final for England. That's the point of the video here. And so to keep it simple, what I've done is I've put in the group winners and the group runners up based on the favourites. So based on the market favourites winning the group and coming second, just to keep it simple, okay? But this is the most likely probability to go by. It's obviously not going to happen in the World Cup. There's going to be some shocks and surprises, but this is the best way to do it. So if all the favourites win their groups, this is how the knockout stages are going to look. And so that would put England up against Senegal in that knockout round. So Senegal are not a top 10 team. So that's a winnable match for England, if that statistic is anything to go by. So England would win that, and let's put that in as an England win. So that puts England through to the quarterfinals. They're going to play someone from France or Mexico. France will be the favourite for that one if they play Mexico. And so let's just put France through. Suddenly, we've got England against France in the quarterfinals, and that would be the end of England because France are a top 10 nation, and that would eliminate England from the World Cup. So England would likely only make it as far as the quarterfinal stage if they're going to come up against a team like France, who are a top 10 nation. And that would be the end of England in the World Cup. And so if we take that statistic into account and that England won't be able to beat France, but what if someone else beats France for us and France are eliminated earlier? So what if Mexico eliminate France? Let's see what happens there. And so then it would be England against Mexico in the quarterfinals, and Mexico are a beatable team for England because Mexico are outside of the top 10, close to it, around 12 or 13, but England could beat Mexico. So let's put that in as a 2-0 win to England. And so that would then mean England would reach the semi-finals. But then who would they reach in the semi-finals? Let me quickly fill that out, and then I'll be right back. And so I've quickly filled it out. And just to remind you again, remember, I'm just sticking to all the favourites winning their matches, just so we can get a bit of an idea of the most likely scenario. Again, it's not going to be the scenario, but this most likely scenario would put England up against Germany in the semi-finals. So would that then be the end of England? Possibly not. Because here's the thing. Here are the FIFA World Rankings at the moment. And you can see England there, number 5. But Germany are outside of the top 10 for the first time in a very, very long time in their history. Germany are outside the top 10 of the FIFA rankings. So, I mean, based on that, England can beat Germany. So we could put that in as an England win over Germany. And England did beat Germany in the Euros. But of course, that was at Wembley. But anyway, that then puts England in the final, and then they're going to be against the top 10 nation of Brazil, and that is where they would lose because England do not beat top 10 nations away from home. So there you have it. So it's an interesting look, and we can kind of see that, look, if either England are going to have to overcome this statistic and overcome history in order to make some waves at this tournament, or in the quarterfinal stage, they're probably going to face a top 10 nation and they'll be eliminated. Because, of course, we also have to consider the fact that England could finish second in their group. And not a lot of people seem to be considering that. And that would put them on a even harder side of the draw. But more than likely, England are going to face a top 10 nation in the quarterfinal stage. And based on history, they will be eliminated at that point. The best bet for England is to avoid these top 10 nations and have an easy route through to the final. Inevitably, they will play a top 10 nation at some point. But if they can get to the final, well, then who knows? Okay. So as said, Spain had a similar statistic before the 2010 World Cup, and they turned that around. Maybe there's still hope for England. But based on this, we're probably looking at a quarter-final exit for England. Not that I'm hoping for that. I'm hoping that we can go all the way and finally get the monkey off our backs. But let's see. Let's see what happens. So that's the bad news over and done with. The good news is the World Cup System Builder bundle is still available. It's available until midnight on Sunday night. Use the discount code that's on the screen and you will get it for an incredibly cheap price. Everything you need to get an edge on the tournament. And as said, even that World Cup wall chart that you just saw there, very, very useful stuff. And it's great to have it all in one bundle. It's available till midnight on Sunday. That's the day of the opening match. So grab yours if you haven't already. The link to get this is in the description of the video. You just got to scroll down, click the link, use that promo code when you check out to get a very nice discount. And then that's pretty much it. You'll be able to dive right into it, start building your systems ahead of the big kickoff. But anyway, I mean, you had a quick demo of how the system builder software works. Now, if you want to see the whole thing in action, the video on the screen right now should point you in the right direction, and you can see it all for yourself. And so then from that point on, you can make your decision about whether this is something you will need for the World Cup or not. Go grab another nice cold beer, and I'll see you in that video on the screen right now.